Oh, we in love. You want to share monies? All right.
In this video, we're going to talk about when and if you should share finances with your partner. All right, so I've been married for 10 years, but before I got married, I never, ever shared my finances with anybody, right? Nope, it was all me. But since I've been married for 10 years, my wife keeps me pretty on track. So if I start getting frivolous with my spending, I have to answer to her. Whereas if I didn't have to answer to anybody, I'd probably have a lot more shiny things and more toys. I'd be like him.
Never been married. I manage my own money.
Yeah, my wife has me on a leash.
If you're dating, even if it's just starting, you're going to be spending some money, okay? It might start out with like splitting the dinner bill or somebody just covering it, but those dinner bills can turn into like long-term relationships, and before you know it, you're splitting rent.
The percentage of young adults moving in with their partners is on the rise. So what do? Maintaining a healthy relationship is hard enough, let alone putting finances into the mix, right? So, some important questions are, do you combine finances with your partner? Is it worth it? How much money do they make? Are they good with their own finances? What happens if they break up? I don't know. All good questions.
All very good questions, just like he said. And these are all things that you should really consider when you're thinking about combining finances with your partner, okay? So, what do? Do you do it or do you not? How many times have we seen this in real life, like in the military, for example? See it all the time. People get together, they start sharing finances, and there's a fallout, and then all of a sudden you hear about whatever person just draining the bank account, and the next thing you know, this person's gone and can't be found. Like, you didn't even know. You thought everything was cool and kosher, and you guys were just living your best life, and then you go swipe your debit card or check your bank account, and there's just zeros. And you're like, what? And you're like, hello? Hello? No answer.
Thing can't happen to you, but it can happen to anybody. Combining your finances is a really big deal. I can't overstate that enough. It's a milestone. It's a major milestone in a relationship, kind of like moving in with somebody or getting married or having kids. And I chose not to ever combine my finances with any of my girlfriends that I had before I got married. And major reason for that was because so many of my friends, they did that. They moved in with their girlfriends. They split the bills. They had a joint bank account. Well, when you break up, it's bad enough, but let alone you add in all those factors, and now it gets super ugly. I didn't want any of that, right? So I waited till I got married to do it. And that's my personal choice, but it's because I saw it end in a fiery ball of flames for a lot of people.
Fire! But we get it. There is some situations where you might want to consider sharing finances with somebody before you're married. But, big words. If you've been dating for 2 years already and you don't know what this person's credit score is or don't know what's on their credit history, this probably isn't somebody that you want to be sharing your hard-earned money with until you find that stuff out.
Fair enough. I didn't date anybody that long before I got married. I didn't have long-term relationships.
I'm stingy, so I just haven't done it.
Yeah.
Not more money, sir.
All right, so if you're going to have this conversation with your partner, if you're not married, it's super important to ask them how much money they make, how they spend their money, what their money goals are. Philip brought up, what their credit score is, things like that. If you're going to be together long-term, these are conversations that you need to have. And when I first got married, I didn't really know a whole lot about money. I was better at spending money than I was at saving money. But my wife was a business owner, and we had this conversation because she initiated it. And she was like, look, idiot, you spend way too much money. You don't save enough money. You put too much on your credit cards without paying them off. And so she laid the smack down. And I'm glad she did, because we got on the same page and we haven't had any issues since then. But had we not, and I kept spending money like that, oh yeah, there probably would have been a lot of fights.
Yeah. If you're unmarried and you guys are trying to do this thing, this is a conversation you're going to want to have as well. Just be very open, very honest right there in the beginning, so you guys don't have any of these problems down the road. So important. Okay? It's not a bashing session, so make sure that it doesn't turn into a bashing session. Okay? I mean, you guys are having an open, grown-up conversation about your guys' wants, desires, any issues or concerns, and you guys are writing out a plan, with each other, and making sure that you guys are on the same page so that when this happens, like a breakup or something crazy, you guys know what to do. All right? Okay.
If you're already living together, then it probably makes sense to combine household expenses and create a household budget that you're going to use to pay for rent, utilities, and all the other bills that comes with living together.
Yeah. Stuff like your car payment, if you guys have individual cars, your own personal credit cards, and then other stuff like retirement, you can probably keep that stuff separate. Because it's going to protect you and it's going to protect your money in the event that you guys do split up, but you still want to combine, the household expenses. Okay.
How about that time you paid for a girl's car and then you guys split up and she kept the car?
Technically, I paid for my car, okay? It was my car, but we had made a deal, all right? We'd made a deal, and I honored the deal, and the deal was she got my car.
Sucker.
Whatever. Man of my word.
You can actually go and set up a household expense account where each of you put money into it every single month, and then it covers the bills that you have to pay. You can set it up for auto pay, and that way you never forget to pay your bills. And if for some reason you don't have a budget yet and you're living on your own, which everybody should have a budget, but if you don't and you're new to budgeting, we actually have a really good budgeting playlist that you can check out.
Yeah. And pro tip, all right, boys and girls. So when you guys are making this household expense budget, all right, the bills that you guys are going to be paying with that joint account, make sure that both of your guys' names are on like the lease and the utility bills and the cell phone bills. That's going to help protect you, both of you guys, for those bills, right? Nobody's going to just bail out of a bill and leave it unpaid if their name's on that bill. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But if you're just the only one on that bill, then there's a higher chance that they might screw you over and just take all the money out of that account and let that bill be unpaid because it's not affecting them and it's only affecting you. So, pro tip.
How many people do you know that broke up with somebody and then they just moved out of the apartment and the other person got stuck with the entire apartment rent?
Mm-hmm. That they couldn't afford because they moved in there together and they had the dual income and now they only got one income.
And they were in love. And then they're not in love and now you're stuck with the entire apartment rent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyways, back on track. But Alex and Philip, what happens if me and my partner don't make the same amount of money? Are we still supposed to split the household bills 50-50? Because that just doesn't seem fair, Charlie.
Yeah, it's totally normal for people to not make the exact same amount of money. That's actually pretty rare. So typically, people pay a different percentage. They don't just cut it down the middle, 50-50, right? So whoever makes more money would typically tend to pay more of the bills, right? So if we had $2,000 a month in bills and my wife made, let's say $3,000 a month and I only made $2,500 a month, well then she would pay 55% of the bills, right? So she'd pay like $1,100 and I'd pay the rest, which would be like $900 because I don't make as much money, hypothetically, right? So that's just one way you could do it.
Okay. There's many different ways you can do that, right? Sometimes one person will pay the rent and the other person will pay all of the groceries and utilities. However it is that you guys decided on doing it, do it. Okay?
Yeah, just have a plan.
Even if you're married, sometimes it's still very common for them to do that same thing that we just spoke about, having a household expense account and then still keeping their separate bank accounts. Whatever, if that works for them, it works for them. However, when couples do combine finances like all the way, it typically makes the other person in your relationship feel more confident about their finances and their relationship because it's a pretty big deal to share your money. Pro tip number 2, don't be a sucker.
If your relationship is already rocky, don't think that by sharing finances and giving them access to your money is going to help the relationship.
Same applies to having kids. Don't be popping out babies just because you want the relationship to work, okay? A kid don't solve the problem, okay? If anything, it just makes it all worse. Either combining your finances entirely or keeping them separate and having a household expense account work. Whichever one you and your partner decide to choose is going to be entirely up to you. But Alex and Philip, What happens if my partner doesn't want to share finances with me? The question of the questions. Well, I mean, that's really going to depend. I mean, most importantly, I would probably want to figure out why. I mean, is it because you're irresponsible? Is it because they're irresponsible? Is it because they don't want to be with you long enough to share money? I mean,
They don't want to share their money.
all things you should strongly consider, right? I mean, if this is a person that doesn't want to share finances with you and they won't tell you why, probably not going to be a person that you're going to want to be with for a long time. Just saying. Sorry, not sorry.
I mean, maybe they don't want to share finances for a less dramatic reason. Like maybe they make more money than you, but they don't want to pay more in bills than you. I know when I had roommates, just because I made more money than them doesn't mean I want to pay more bills than them.
Yeah, like, so I'm getting punished for having a better job? No.
So maybe there's something you guys can work through. Maybe you can talk about it. Maybe you can't talk about it. And maybe that's somebody you shouldn't share finances with.
Yeah. I mean, whatever it is, if you're going to start sharing finances, when you're first getting started, it's real important not to share all of the finances, right? I mean, we strongly recommend starting with the household expense account, and seeing how that goes. I mean, maybe the person's really micromanagey, maybe they're real nitpicky, or maybe you're just irresponsible, something. So it's good to just give a little bit of your finances up to an account versus all of it all together at once, because that's probably going to be harder to step out of or harder to correct, like a big issue instead of a small issue. So remember, start off small, okay? Household account first, then everything. Ba la 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 la.
Now, should you combine finances? I don't know. That's totally up to you and your situation with your partner. Everybody's situation is different. You don't have to share finances to have a functioning relationship. But if it's something that you guys are going to, do long term, and you plan on being with that person for a long time, maybe get married to them, I don't know. And you're living together, maybe it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a good idea.
Yeah. Absolutely. So there you go. I mean, if you're going to do it, it's up to you. I mean, I don't know. I still have never shared finances with anybody. Haven't been married also, so whatever.
Yeah, I only did it because I got married.
Yeah. I mean, does it work? Probably. Absolutely. He seems to do well with it, right?
Yeah, I like it.
Me, no experience. But I could probably use somebody to help me be a little bit more responsible with my stuff. But whatever. Here we are. I'm still alive.
I mean, sometimes I'm not responsible and I just get yelled at a lot.
Yeah. Hey, I bought this action figure, okay?
Whoa,
Don't tell
whoa.
Paige.
Whoa, I waited till I got married to buy all my action figures and have my massive comic book collection, all right? Because I knew that if I wasn't married, I probably wasn't going to have a girlfriend. If they came over and saw a bunch of expensive action figures sitting on the wall.
We were at a show one time.
Whoa, call me out, all right?
And he bought this ridiculous Terminator thing for like $600 or something crazy.
Whoa.
And he left it at the office for years because he didn't want his wife to know. And I still don't think she knows because she's staring at me right now as I'm saying this.
From behind the camera. Yeah.
But now she knows. It's been like 6 years. So, whatever. Oops.
Thanks a lot.
$600?
I got a military discount. It wasn't $600.
If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. In the comments below, let us know if you're going to share your finances with somebody or not.
See you in the next video.
He might not be in it because he's going to timeout
I hate
now.
you.